Do you shop on Amazon? I do. And I'll tell you one thing that I would have pre-ordered on Amazon because they usually have a pretty lenient return policy if things get broken. My Switch 2. I would have pre-ordered this. It likely would have got here on release day, and I would have had no issues with getting third-party games, first-party games, accessories, etc. The problem is, apparently, there's some drama between Amazon and Nintendo. So, according to some reports, Nintendo and Amazon kind of came to a tit for tat, if you will, because Amazon was allowing, according to Nintendo, third-party sellers to buy Nintendo Switch 2 consoles, and accessories, and games from a Southeast Asian market where Nintendo would sell the system cheaper, right? Because that's a different market. They can't spend as much as the Americans and Canadians, etc. And then those would get imported from that Southeast Asian market over into America, where they would then undercut what everyone else is selling the Switch to because they got it at that initial price for less money. So according to them, Amazon was told, hey, you're not going to be able to sell the Switch 2 unless you crack down on these third-party sellers. Now, of course, both companies are denying this, right? It even says in the headline here, both companies deny, both companies deny. But the problem is, when you go to Amazon and you try to buy a Switch 2, I put Switch 2, and you know what the first thing that comes up is just some Switch games, right? We have Suikoden 1 and 2 remastered, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Early Days collection. You do have a couple games, but you know what's really weird is you can't pre-order Metroid Prime 4 on Amazon. And I would think that that would be one of the hottest games right now to go for. But yeah, you can't get Metroid Prime 4. Some of the accessories aren't on here, but the thing that kind of muddies the water of all this drama is you do have first-party games on here, right? You have Super Mario Party Jamboree, which is a first-party game being sold by Nintendo. And then obviously you have the third-party games, CD Projekt Red's, Cyberpunk, Sega's, Raito, and then Hogwarts Legacy. Those games are all here. But even look here, right? Pokemon Legends ZA, that's on here for pre-order by Nintendo. And it's kind of weird because the stories that we're being told is they pulled everything for the Switch 2. But when you look at it, that's clearly not true because some of those items are still here. So why didn't Amazon get any Switch 2s to sell to its customer base? Who knows? I honestly think that what it could be is just the tariff situation caused a lot of issues for the Amazon, for Nintendo, for, you know, Japan really as a whole, because they have to now balance how much is it going to take for us to trade back and forth back then when this was all happening. And it may have just been non-available for them to just mass produce enough to give over to the Amazon corporation for them to do sales. Right, my local GameStop was undershort and they only had 50 consoles. Now you spread that across all the GameStops, that's a lot, sure, but you know, when I was talking to the guy, he told me like back when, you know, other consoles sell, they can get between 100 and 150 consoles, but they could only get 50 for this initial launch, not counting, of course, pre-orders. So who knows what the real story is. This is the story that that people are running with, though, is that the Southeast Asian market was undercutting the sales of the Switch, sending it over here to America, and then third-party sellers were like, hey, you know that $500 Mario Kart packing that you want? I'll sell it to you for $480. You'll save 20 bucks. And of course, any person who's, you know, looking to save a little bit of money in our economy is going to say, hey, I'm going to buy the one that is $20 cheaper, save me 20 bucks, and go buy myself a Starbucks coffee because I don't understand my own economics, but hey, I digress. So that's kind of what I think is really happening. As it is possible that this happened. It could be tariffs. It could be related to this. But the fact is, whether or not this is true, the Switch is not failing. Switch 2 has sold over 5 million now, confirmed by Nintendo as of July 1st. And the thing that is crazy about that is it is outselling the original Switch almost 2-to-1 in terms of the time frame that we've had since release window to now to its sales numbers. And that's kind of crazy, right? A lot of people are saying that this system is a failure, that this system is the next Wii U, and nothing in the track record is showing that to be true. Let's see here. The numbers that are estimated here are 1.8 million units here in America, then followed by Japan with 1.47, then Europe with 1.18, and then other regions at like 0.55 million units if you combine them together. So for perspective, and I'm glad that they did include this, this is why I wanted to mention this. This is the first month sale, right? We're in month 1 still. It released on June 5th. We haven't even hit July 5th. In the same period of time, the original Switch only had sold 2.74 million units. So again, we're looking at a 2-to-1 ratio sales for the Switch 2. As far as Nintendo's concerned, this is a huge win. They are winning right now. Now, can they keep the momentum? And unfortunately, I have a feeling that the momentum is going to start slowing down, especially because from July, we'll say 1st, because today's the 1st, from July 1st until, what is it, the 17th? Is it the 17th? Right? We have Bonanza coming out. Well, we need something in between there, right? This is one of the complaints that I made yesterday when I was talking about the sales and everything when I was recording another video is, why in the world did we take all of the release information, all these release titles, and spread them out? Now I know it's because we have to hit quarterlies, right? We have to hit certain metrics every quarter, every fiscal year, so that way it looks good to our investors. I totally understand that. But if you wanted to get more Switch 2 out the gate, which apparently wasn't a problem because they're outselling the original, we were wrong. Why wasn't Bonanza a Switch release title? That would have been an amazing title to get, you know, day one. I would have rather have bought that than Mario Kart World, if I'm going to be honest. Mario Kart World is fine, but I have Mario Kart 8. And I think that's how a lot of people feel is, why did I get Mario Kart World, which has, let's say, 16 maps. I don't remember the exact number. I haven't played it in a couple days. When I could just keep playing Mario Kart 8 with all my friends, since it's backwards compatible with all the map packs that it came with. So that's kind of the mindset that a lot of people are in. But yeah, it's, even though you have reports, like here's IGN's report on the same story, right? Nintendo's denying that they reportedly pulled the Switch over these third-party sales. But the fact is that whether that's true or not, and if you can't find it on Amazon, this might be the reason why. We're not sure, especially here in America. This is specifically a US Amazon issue from what I understand. It's not affecting the sales, right? You have all these people. I'm on a Facebook group and they're constantly doom and gloom. They're like, oh, I can't believe I got to switch to the OLED is so much nicer. And it's like, yeah, on screen, the OLED, when in that snapshot, it's going to look better. But day to day, the bigger screen, the HDR, it's all going to look better on the Switch too. You don't have to necessarily admit that the contrasting is better, because it's not. OLED's always going to beat out, you know, an LCD in terms of contrast, the darker dark, the, you know, the blacker blacks, if you will. But the fact of the matter is it looks better overall. And you have to look at the overall picture. And I think people are looking at the overall picture here. They're saying, look, the Switch 2 is the next evolution of the Switch. No, it's not an OLED screen, but it is a better system, a faster system, a stronger system. The library is ginormous, right? Because it is backwards compatible. I've been playing personally right now. Let's see, what do I have in here? I think I have, yes, I still have Unicorn Overlord booted up in here. Unicorn Overlord is one of my favorite games I've ever played. I'm in the middle of a battle and I love it. And the fact of the matter is all my games run way better on this thing. Not all the games look better, especially because they stretch out a little bit more because of the resolution of this screen versus the old Switch. But overall, I'm very pleased with this purchase. And I think if this projection continues, obviously this is going to outsell the Switch 1. Now, we have the, what is it, the ROG Ally 2 with the Xbox integration coming soon. I have a feeling that that's going to, you know, bite into the Switch 2's market, because that's going to be an excellent system if it's made correctly and it doesn't cost a fortune. Now, ROG Allies usually cost a little bit much. They're usually outside my budget. But the fact of the matter is if you can get that integrated with Xbox and the Xbox, you know, overlay, Game Pass, and it has the power, which according to all the reports, it definitely does have the power, that's going to make a lot of sales. But the problem with that is that's a niche market, right? The handheld PC gaming market is very niche. There's not a lot of them. You have to keep in mind, the PC gaming market is very small in comparison to console market, mobile market. So overall, I don't think it's going to bite into their market too much. I keep saying market, I'm sorry. But the fact of the matter is I don't think they care, right? They've sold 5 million units in less than a month. Less than a month, right? July 5th, excuse me, this Saturday is the 1 month mark, and they have surpassed the sales of the original Switch. I personally believe they're going to peak very soon. They're going to hit that plateau. All because the sales of the games is the problem, right? We have the game key cards, which a lot of people don't like, which I'm going to make a video about tomorrow. We just have so much that we have to kind of keep an eye on when it comes to whether or not these sales that they're reporting to us really mean anything. But the good news is for them is it doesn't mean anything when it comes to, you know, whether or not it's on Amazon, because Amazon can't sell the thing, but it's still outselling almost every metric of the original. So I just thought that was kind of interesting for those of us in the US. If you've been sitting here on Amazon wondering why I can't find certain games, why I can't find the console, why I can't find some of the accessories, this may actually be why. And the only reason I wanted to bring it up is because I wanted to buy it on Amazon. I buy on Amazon all the time. You know, if I were to go look at my Amazon order history, there's a ton of stuff in there. I love buying stuff on Amazon. You know, Jeff Bezos just had his wedding funded by us. So it is what it is. Unfortunately, I don't know if this is going to change. You know, you have all the games for the Switch 2 are on here, and most of them are all sold at market price. The reason why Nintendo wasn't happy about this is because, excuse me, these third-party sellers supposedly were selling them below market price because they got it from that third party. They could undercut. But the fact of the matter is it doesn't look like that's what's happening here in terms of the games. Now, when, like I said, if I go in here and I put Metroid Prime 4, you're going to notice Metroid Prime, I can't spell, 4. I put Metroid F Prime, but whatever. The biggest issue that you find is that there's really nothing here for Metroid Prime 4. You have Metroid Prime Remastered, you have Shadow Labyrinth, Metal Gear Solid 1, and then you have Metroid Prime and Nintendo Switch, which I'm assuming is going to be, you know, maybe a digital, but it still says now in development for Nintendo Switch, currently unavailable. It doesn't give a release date, nothing. It gives no information at all. And that's really weird because, like, if you look at Metroid Prime 4, it's, you know, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, it's going to be released in 2025. So what is the issue that we're having here? I mean, yes, I understand you can't give a release date. Obviously, Amazon's always done this. If they don't know the release date, just the release window, they always just say by end of year so that they can cover their butts. But the issue is, this is going to be one of those games that everyone is looking for, and unfortunately, there's no information on it. And obviously, because you can't pre-order something that doesn't really exist yet, you would say, hey, that's why it's not there, but that's not true. You could technically, for example, I'll give you a great example, Advance Wars, right? Remember when Advance Wars initially got delayed because of the Ukrainian war and everything that was going on over there? There was no release date. You could still pre-order that game on Amazon, and it just said December 31st, 2022, 2023, whatever year that was, that, you know, it got delayed to. And you don't have that option here. It just says currently unavailable. There's no information, and none of these little like listings are even close to being accurate, right? We know from what I understand is it's called Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. This is called Twister Parent. Doesn't have a picture, doesn't have any advertising. It looks like they're just completely just whatever on Metroid Prime 4. Now, this is coming from these reports, so this could all be tinfoil hat. This isn't necessarily what I believe. I think that personally, the reason it's not on Amazon is because we just don't have enough, right? They had the trailer for it, which was great. Yes, I'm so glad it's coming, but we don't really have any information. Like, we don't have the exact release dates information. We don't really know all that stuff. And without that information, maybe that's why, you know, Amazon's like, look, we don't really know anything. We don't have box art. We have nothing. We're not going to put this up here yet. But then again, like I said, then you have other examples like Advance Wars 1-2 Reboot, which was available. You had Suikoden, which was available. All these games were available when they didn't have a release date. It just gave you the release window at the end of the year. So I'm not entirely sure, you guys. I'm curious to know what you guys think. Are you in the US? Did you try to buy stuff on Amazon and, you know, awkwardly find out that none of it was available? Does this seem like a valid reason to you why Nintendo would pull all these products from Amazon store? For me, it does. I do agree that this would be a reason, right? Nintendo wants to sell these products at the maximum price they can for the market they're selling to. And if a third-party seller in another country is buying them for dirt cheap and then exporting them to the US at a discount, and then we're buying them here, that money's now going to that third party, none of that extra cash is going to Nintendo. Nintendo's going to want to protect, you know, their investment. Nintendo's going to want to protect their stock market, or their investors. They're going to want to protect their board. They're going to want to protect everything they can about that income that they're now missing out on, especially when they are banging it in terms of sales at over 5 million in under a month. So let me know what you guys think. What are your guys' thoughts on all this? You know, it's more just corporate mumbo jumbo, trying to avoid numbers, trying to beat the numbers, trying to make money and where we can. Does this bother you? Do you care? Do you even shop on Amazon, right? If you don't shop on Amazon, then all of this is a moot point. So anyways, guys, I just wanted to bring this to your attention so that you can understand why maybe you can't find certain things on Amazon right now. Hopefully they can figure this out. Maybe this is just a glitch in the matrix and we're all, really unaware of what's really going on. But until next time, you guys have a great day.